Frail Fragment is a music podcast, but we talk about movies, entertainment, sports, whatever's on our mind, open stream of consciousness, in awareness, and making it a little comical on the side.
Frail Fragments, Monster Closet.
Hey, bruh.
What's the word, bruh?
We're just, I invited Brett because he said he could make it. So
You down?
send him a link here, see if he can make it. But I'm excited today. We got a pretty cool guest, man. We're fortunate to have Wil Dunlop on the show, who's an independent director, started his own company. We'll get into it with him. And he's doing a documentary on my man Martin Streek, rest in peace. But it's gonna be
R.I.P. Yeah.
This is gonna be cool. He's also a radio host on 89.1 Max FM up in Aurelia, so that's pretty cool too. He has his own show. And we're going to talk to him about that as well. And so I'm going to invite him right now.
Sure.
And I think Red's here too.
There he is.
Good night.
All right, Red, I'm gonna invite Wil Dunlop on the show right now. Just kind of give him an intro.
All right.
And thanks for coming on, Red. Like, I'm excited. I haven't heard from you in a while.
I'm getting offloaded right now, so I only have a few minutes.
Oh my God. Okay, well,
Oh, shit.
check in and check out. Okay,
That's what I'll have to do.
Thanks for coming, man. Good to
All
hear
right.
from you.
Thanks.
Peace.
Almost died.
Yeah.
But or you can leave it on mute or whatever, Red. But I don't know. I'm gonna interview this Wil Dunlop cat, who's a director. There he is. Hey, Will.
Yo, how are you?
How's it going, brother?
Not bad, not bad. Okay, let me just set my phone here because I thought we'd be doing it on my computer. I thought like through a Zoom.
No, it's pretty bare bones. Like this is a show that just started out, episode 21. Actually a fan that was at one of my shows inspired me to do it. He said I could do it on my phone. So I've been just jumping on my phone, whenever I get a chance, just to reach out to all these interesting people out there, man. And we appreciate you doing the show,
No, thanks for having me. Okay, so I just got to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, right?
Yeah, I think it works better, do not disturb and like have the phone screen lock on never. So if your phone falls asleep, sometimes you drop calls that way as well. We're just working through the kinks, right? This is like Spotify, not, Yeah, we got a couple of we have some friends kind of co-hosting too. They're just gonna sit in.
All right.
My buddy Red, who I have another show with, the Red and Len show, old friend of mine who has been he was in Frail Fragment, my band. I mean, he was at the Phoenix, when Martin Streek was around too. So
Amazing.
he knows, he kind of knows, we used to party at fucking the Phoenix, right? So we got Red here, and then Ace is kind of the guy that's, he usually does the most of the shows with me. He's just kind of like, he's my sidekick, and this is my boy Ace Will.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, what's going on?
So let me give you an intro if we're kind of ready. Let's do a show intro. But yeah.
All right, I'm back.
All right, nice. All right, well, welcome to the Monster Closet. This is Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. This is episode 21. We have a special guest today. He's the host of Beyond the 89 on the radio dial 89.1 FM up in Aurelia, I think. And that's super cool. This is he's known as the Wolverine, Mr. Wil Dunlop. Thanks for being on the Monster Closet, bro.
Welcome.
Thanks, Len. Thanks, Red. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
How have you been, dude?
Pretty good. Just coming out of a little illness. Worked myself very hard, like I always do, into the Christmas break. and a little burnout. But coming out of kind of that January into winter, getting back to what we're doing. So getting back out in the clubs a little bit, being back on the radio every Saturday night, as you pointed out. And of course, getting back to getting documentary filmmaking done, doing some filmmaking as well.
Nice, man. Yeah, I came across your name through a buddy of mine, Kenny Godinho, and Red, you know him too, right? He filmed us at the Horseshoe back in the day.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And he went to high school with my wife, actually. So we've known each other for a long time. And I saw one of his posts that, you know, you were making a documentary on Martin Streek, and I kind of reached out to him and he gave me your info, and I said, you know, I kind of want to tell my story, you know, and you agreed to you know, have a chat with me, and we had a pretty good conversation last time, and it was awesome, you know, and I want to thank you for actually going through and doing this movie. And whenever it happens, but it will happen, and it's gonna be special, man.
Yeah, it's been quite the process. I started really doing this around 2015. And before, I was directing a commercial for it was a golf course commercial. It was a golf course commercial at the time. And I had made a reference, like a Martinism reference on set, and the DOP got it. And a very young PA at the time, I don't know how old he was, maybe 20, 21, going back, really didn't get it. And we explained, you know, it was Martin Streek. Well, who's Martin Streek? And I'm like, just Google it. And just what pretty much what happened on his phone was about 6 or 7 pages come up of just popular radio personality takes his own life, and not really about the legacy, the impact of Martin Streek as the host of Club 102. And, you know, maybe a little bit of a Chris Shepard before that, the original host of Club 102. What that, you know, that impact was on the Toronto culture and music culture overall, whole like multiple generations.
For sure, man.
Inspired by those live to air weekends. And, you know, and there's a lot of mistakes surrounding Martin, and which is become a big part of the film in those regards.
Nice, man.
Yeah. And just maybe kind of tell this individual story truthfully and the right way, which has been a challenge for sure over the years.
Yeah, man. It's a hard thing to do. And, you know, I think that if it was easy, more people would do it. And, you know, hats off to you. And I really can feel that you're very invested, and that's going to be a great product, you know, at the end of the day. Martin was a pioneer for independent music. You know, he put me on fucking corporate radio. He had me on Edge 102, like promoting shows. And he was just really, really good to me. And he helped me in he inspired, I think, and he helped me in a lot of this. It's a similar story anyway to how he helped you, just from our conversation, you know, like just me getting in his ear and us kind of getting to know each other, and me just going to Ryerson and kind of, you know, crossing the street and hanging out with Martin Streek before and after class. And, you know, Blizzard comes and I hand him the CD that I know that he would like, because him and I like very similar types of music. And, you know, when I finally got that CD to him and he listened to it, he said, you know, this is great. And I asked him, can you play it? And he played it that Friday on Live to Air at the Phoenix. And it was a cool rush, and he helped me for as long as he was there, right? You know, so I mean, this is important to me that you're doing this, because, you know, I've played pool with Martin at the Phoenix. You know, we would stomp down on the Phoenix, man, every Saturday night for like fucking 5 years, bro.
Good times.
We were at the Phoenix, dude. I went to the Phoenix so many times I had sex in the fucking washroom, right? And I gave the lady that was the towel lady $5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. To clean up the mess?
No, bro.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
What kind of podcast is this?
I don't know.
Okay, one.
No disclaimers here.
If you're trying to solicit any stories out of me,
Yeah.
it's not happening.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're saying you have your own?
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean,
yes.
the Phoenix was awesome, dude. The Phoenix was awesome, and it's a big part of my 20s, I think. Yeah. And it was like the cool place to be, and I mean, I'll never forget that shit, So cool, man. And I'll never forget Martin Streek, and like everything's kind of connected in a way, because I started like re-recording the song that he played on the air, and then like I started talking, then I got in touch with you, and like all this stuff was happening, and it was like Martin like was helping me from the dead. It was weird.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've had that happen a couple times coming across on this film, where I felt to a certain degree, Martin kind of maybe helping, whatever terminology you want to use, whatever spirituality you're into, whatever you believe. Yeah, but back to, on the film, what you're talking about. Yeah, it was a unique time through the early 90s up until about 2005. And then, of course, he was on the air from 2005 to 2009. There's kind of a glitch in that past 2005 to 2009, where what was happening in that time, in that original 15 years, had kind of faded. Social media comes along. You talked about having sex in the bathroom. Well, back in the day, if we wanted to meet a girl, we went to the Phoenix and you try to talk to her. Now you just swipe right.
Yeah.
And that whole social dynamic changed, and that changed kind of those club nights. Also, the way we discover music, Spotify and Tidal. You like this, you may know those logarithms. If you like this, you may like this band. Yeah. And Martin was that last kind of rock star DJ that tells you what band was cool. Going back to your band. If he played your indie band on the live to air on a Saturday night at the Phoenix, that was probably the last time that meant something.
Oh, yeah.
In a regards, now you can record your band today and be on Spotify, and it's not bad. You can work your ass off and get your own attention, your own fan base that way.
It's not the same. It's not the same. Dude, I was sorry. I was at work, and I was just like, when that happened, he said he was going to play it from between 9 and 10. I was just like pacing at work, and my phone was there, and my work phone. And then 9, 10, nothing, 20, 30, 40, 50, nothing. I'm like, this guy's not going to fucking play this song. Right. So 9:53, my phone rings from like an unknown number. He's like, Len, it's Martin Streek. Put on your radio. We're going to play. I'm like, okay. So I put on my radio. He's like, this is Len LaManna. This is Frail Fragment. This is Canadian. This is from Toronto. This guy's a talented motherfucker in so many words. This is time throwing in. He played that song, and it's just like the rush of energy I felt, and my phone started ringing, my cell phone and my fucking work phone started ringing. And like Ace, it was at like up by 404 there in the fucking booth there. I was a cashier working in a parking booth.
Oh, okay.
And like my fucking, all the phones were ringing, right? I mean, that can't happen from fucking Spotify, bro.
No, it doesn't. I know. There's nothing like still in today's technology and where we are today, like having your band on the radio.
Yeah.
And it happens still to me on what I do on Saturday nights. When I play particular bands that I come across, it's an impactful, and people post on, they post the clip of themselves being on the radio, because there is nothing like it.
Yeah, man. It's a cool feeling.
It is. It absolutely is. It's a sense of accomplishment. It's a real sense of wonderment at the same time. Yeah.
I get that with my kids, right? Like, cause I have a little guy who's 4 and a girl that's 6. And I was during the pandemic, I got some Variety from 94.9 in Oshawa, and they're a corporate station. I think it's like a Chorus radio station, and they still have reached out to me to promote shows, and they've been good, and we're kind of on their radar. But like they featured us for a week on that show, and I scored a movie called The Last Sleigh Ride, and I wrote an album during the pandemic, and so they kind of featured like the songs they wanted to feature for that week, and they gave me like my plug, and it was just, it was cool because I had an Alexa at my house, and my son was like listening to this guy talk about me and play my song, and like my wife was recording my son's like reaction, and he was just so the look on his face, he's like, that's Daddy's song. I was like Superman.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's really cool,
That is cool.
So like the radio has that impact for me.
Yeah, radio still does in that regards, because it's so random, and it just, people have it on in their car, they have it on some, still businesses still have radio in the background wherever. And but also at the same time, someone announcing your song, someone introducing the world, similar to what Martin did, similar to what we do. For those of you who don't know, 89.1 Max FM, the alternative north, has a feature where we play 5 local artists a day in main time radio. Like, instead of doing like the indie show that gets usually slapped on between 10 and 11 on a Sunday night. During 5 times a day during prime time hours, Monday to Friday, actually all 7 days a week, is we play 5 local artists a day.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so you can have your band sandwiched in between Smashing Pumpkins and Chemical Brothers.
That's amazing, bro.
Yeah, and because local music, independent music, is still important, and there's an obligation, and and I know the Rock at Oshawa understands that to a degree. When you're not really, when your radio station that is not in a major market, they're in Oshawa, they're not Toronto.
Yeah,
we are in Aurelia, even though we say alternative north, Aurelia, Barrie, Muskoka, representing 705, as I like to say.
But that area is important, man. That area is, that cottage country too, man. Like those people, listen. They have the fucking radio on all day long while they're boozing by the lake, right? Yeah,
that's the other thing. But we're also in the playground. People forget we are in the playground, the backyard of what was formerly known as Molson Park. And now, now what's replaced Molson Park is Burroughs Creek, and it's actually close to us in Oromodante. And of course, now one of the greatest concert venues in Canada is the Key to Bala.
Oh yeah.
And so music is very, very important in this neck of the woods. Cottage country, of course, Muskoka, everyone who kind of knows from the GTA. It's a playground for the rich and famous, as some people
call man. Bala's a rich place too, man.
It can be. Like, but I grew, I'm a 4th generation cottager, and I out of South Muskoka, even though it's Muskoka Lakes, it's still kind of just basic, more rustic cabins.
Are you on Couchiching?
No, that's where I live full time.
That's amazing. That's beautiful, man. I love it there.
Yeah, I live there. That's where I live full time. The family cottage about 40 minutes away in Severn Falls on Wood Bay on the Severn River.
That's beautiful, dude.
Yeah. So pretty much, the 705 cottage country is in my DNA as much as it is as the clubs in Toronto. I grew up in Oakville, which was next to Burlington, where where the Friday Live to Air was at the Kingdom, in the club known as NRG.
Yeah,
and people also forget Energy 108 started out of Burlington, just down the street, Plains Road East.
Yeah.
So of course, a lot of the music in the 90s really resonated in the suburbs. And even up until 95, people forget CF&Y Edge 102 was out of Brampton, on Kennedy Road South.
Yeah.
Did not move actually into Toronto until 95. So
that's good info, man, because not like very few people know that.
Yeah. And so the point, what I'm getting at, gentlemen, is the fact that kind of quote unquote alternative music, what kind of came out of the late 80s, of course, Nirvana lit the fuse in the early 90s and 91, is very much the suburbs. Yeah. It is, representing kind of a different generation out of the suburbs, kind of the maturity of Generation X for all extensive purposes. Of course, that's a big part of the film. It's a big part of what I do. as also a club DJ and a radio personality, is trying to bring that spirit and that feeling back. Because right now, if you're 16 years old in your formative age group, you're almost 50, because in a couple months, everyone, boys and girls, it'll be 30 years since Kurt Cobain died.
I remember the day he died. I was walking down Mortimer in fucking Toronto in East York, and like I was listening to my Sony fucking headset, and Alan Cross came on The Edge, and I was listening, and he said, I have a announcement to make. Kurt Cobain killed himself. Dude, I ran home. I ran upstairs to my room, and I put on like Polly and Something in the Way, and I was just fucking crying in my bed, dude, because that guy was like that guy is the reason why I'm playing guitar and I'm doing everything I'm doing, right? Like that was the fucking guy that changed my life, Kurt Cobain. He like, my world changed after hearing Nevermind.
Right. No, for a lot of people it did. A lot of people it did. And it's a pivotal moment. And again, it comes back to the film, that pivotal moment, which the deeper part of the film is what I call the eye of the storm and all this, which is the month of August of 92. And in that time frame, this is what really happens. In that time frame, Lollapalooza rolls through at Molson Park for the first time, and Pearl Jam, and then we're seeing clips on the new music of what Eddie Vedder is. It's pre-YouTube. Also in that same time, this is when Edge 102 CFNY gets new owners, and Chris Shepherd leaves, and Danny Elwell resigns live on air, and Lee Eckersley leaves and writes an article of what's really happening at CFNY, the freeform radio station. Things are changing over there. Are they going in a more corporate direction?
And he's at 94.9 right now in Oshawa.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And was it Lee Eckersley Lee? I'm pretty sure it was Lee Eckersley who wrote that. It might, if it was not, I should know this. Or was it Lee Carter?
Who knows?
Anyway, it was one of the two. I think. The point being, one of them wrote this piece, what's going on, into a more corporate direction. But out of that really became the shift into the darker guitar driven, which led to more danceable music with 9 Inch Nails in 93. But that was, their decision was, we're not going to get a bigger star to replace Chris Shepherd, who arguably was the biggest star in radio at the time. We're going with someone in-house, and that was Martin. On Club 102. And of course, the shift in that sound.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and
that's fucked up. So he like completely fucking changed that station.
Not, well, depending how you look at it. Martin was part of it. Yeah. You look at the architect behind it, a gentleman by the name of Stuart Myers, who really was quite intelligent and on the ball. And his interview, I will let him tell his story in the film, in his interview, because it's not my place, because it's his story to tell properly. But his mindset was absolutely part of the eye of the storm of what was happening in that time. And yeah, in a lot of degrees, Martin did change it, because as the alternative music was heading into that darker direction, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Of course, we know what everything out of Seattle grunge was kind of very angry. And then, of course, in 93, we see the first record by Tool. Says Bit by Bit had a bit of a slow burn from their first record in 89, and then we're heading into Downward Spiral. Yeah. Martin kind of reflected that, the Man in Black. He looked like Chris Cornell's brother. He looked like a member of Alice in Chains. And kind of that I shouldn't say abyss, poor choice of words, but the oasis in the darkness is what Martin represented, because he kind of represented how everyone was feeling at the same time, and very inclusive, like how he included kids who would dress goth, because Marilyn Manson comes up, and then how kids were dressing with goth, which was a more extreme direction, kids who grew up in the 80s listening to The Cure, especially. Guys wearing black lipstick, fishnet stockings, etc., etc. And Martin really embraced that and represented that group, kind of the kids who maybe did not feel they were cool enough. Because if you look at the flip side on that time, Chris, again, who I love, Chris Shepherd, I named my dog after him, Shep. It's true. My dog is named Shep after Chris Shepard. Was heading in a more, of course, in that more dance direction, that rave direction. And of course, Shep kind of more appealed to the more popular kids, you know, the ones who kind of look like Jason Priestley's character in Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah, Brendan,
kind of that preppy type thing, you know, the good-looking jock or the good-looking guy and all that, and the good-looking girls. And it was kind of and people felt on the Shep unintentionally with Shep and Energy 108 and the live to airs and all that they were doing. It felt a lot like Studio 54. You had to be good-looking enough, you had to be cool enough to get into this club. How on the flip side was with the alternative culture with Martin and his live to air weekends and what he did and the way he welcomed people like you, like myself, into the street level studio while doing the Thursday 30 was inclusive to everybody. In terms of who you were, the music, where you came from, what you dressed, if you were like the geek, the freak, the dork, it did not matter to Martin. And he had this amazing ability to bring you in and listen to you, and what you said mattered. And you would leave either the Phoenix, or you would leave the Kingdom, or you would leave the edge of 204 Young, or whichever it was at that time, feeling 10 feet tall, because Martin Streek, the coolest guy on the earth with his charisma, was your friend. Actually gave a shit about you and what you listened to, what was going on, and what movies you watched. And that speaks volumes. That really speaks volumes on, again, that generation who they were. Kind of, you know, in every generation, every teenager feels lost and confused and depressed, and that's just the nature of growing up. But having someone like Martin there, and the way he was as a voice to a generation, was very important, was extremely important. And we talk about this in the film, and Alan Cross and I have talked about this numerous times. How many times over the years, when you turn 19, what do you want to do? You can go to the bar. Well, I want to go party with Martin Streek. And I've come across this in walks, different people, you know, in radio events and things I do, and people just out and about, where I've run into a younger generation, prime one being a young lady came up to me and she was telling me that she grew up here in Aurelia with a single mom, and they didn't have a lot of money. And of course, the evolution of satellite radio. So on Saturday nights, their thing was they would order pizza, play games, but also listen to the live to air from the Phoenix. And they would have the little dance parties. And that's why her favorite music is Nine Inch Nails and Tool and some of the more darker remixes by David Bowie. She really likes that stuff. But that's
nice.
And she, you know, that's regret in life, because when she was maybe 12, 13, I think, when Martin passed, that she never got a chance to go and experience those nights. And there's kind of that sub-generation that was listening, who thought they'd be ready to go, and obviously it didn't happen.
Well, they're gonna get some insight with your doc. Do you have any release time or any timeline on?
No,
No,
it's just been film production, especially in documentary, can be tedious. It's locking down interviews, different rounds of financing, and I won't bore everyone out there with it. But we are still plugging away, and other elements which I will reveal if I come back when the film is done, or I may not reveal
for sure,
how I feel. A lot of behind the scenes stuff. A lot of fact checking on what people tell you is true or not true. That's the other side of documentaries, is you can interview someone and then you find out later what they said was complete bullshit, and you can't use it.
Yeah.
There's a level of journalistic integrity and professionalism that you have to approach when you are doing a documentary, especially about someone's lifestyle, especially who is no longer here live to actually be interviewed and be the counterpoint to this.
Yeah, bro. Well, anytime you want to come back and talk about whatever, you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about, you know, just to come hang out. You know, what are your plans for, you have any plans for 2024?
Yeah, I'm going to continue to do what I do on the radio.
Nice.
Every Saturday night, we're 3 hours commercial free, courtesy of Twisted Tea up here in the 705, feeling that love, feeling that vibe. If you're in the area, you can listen on 89.1 Max FM, the alternative north, or check us out online, 89.1maxfm.ca.
Beautiful, bro.
On the live stream. That, I'm going to continue to make on this film, I'm also developing what would be my first scripted drama feature, a film I wrote that hopefully may get some traction in 2024. But everyone around that wants to see this documentary done. They've seen scenes of it and they know what I can do. But a lot of people want to see this documentary done first, as why. And that is it. It's just going to be, I'm in a fortunate position where I make movies and I mix music, and that's what I do. And
hey, bro, if you ever need any music for any of your movies, man, like just scream at me, man. Like
I
I'll
got
help you out.
I got you on speed dial. I have you on the speed dial.
Perfect, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten drunk off of Twisted Iced Tea?
Yes.
You know, I remember like back in my day we had what was it, Mike's Hard Lemonade. It's probably still around now, and then it like transgressed to broken down golf cart.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And I mean, it just ended up like bad news. You just too much sugar and you end up fucking throwing up over somebody's wall.
Oh yeah. And the hangovers are brutal, you know.
Yeah,
they can be, but it's still a refresh, you know. At the end of the day, like anything else, moderation, be responsible, be smart about it.
You know what
like
you do?
Anything else in life.
You know what you do this summer for me? You know, go out on that beautiful backyard of you. Because I remember talking to you. You have like a place kind of similar to my cousin's. They're on Lake Couchiching too. And it's like a nice bungalow. And then you go in your backyard and you have fucking Lake Couchiching. You see the sun go off. Pour yourself a fucking Twisted Iced Tea on ice. Sit there, have one, watch the sun go down, and think of me and the Monster Closet, dude. And think about all the people that just think about you doing what you're doing with this documentary and how much it means to everyone.
I appreciate you saying that, brother. I really do. That means a lot.
Yeah, and I want you to come back, and I want to hit you up in sometime in the summer. We'll check in with you. Wil Dunlop.
All right, dude. And come on up. You come to the Cottage Country. Let me know.
Yeah, bro. I will. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, boys.
See you, man.
Cheers.
Great.
Peace. Hey, Ace.
Hey, how are you, Len?
I'm good, but I just like, you know what I mean? Red comes on the fucking show, you know?
Where'd he go?
And then he says he's only gonna come on because he's delivering shit to some guy.
Are you guys done? Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
All right, I got you. Thanks, guys. I gotta get back to my day.
Cheers.
Yeah. Take care, buddy.
Thank you.
Later, man. Yeah. So I mean, then he says he only can check in for 2 seconds.
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
And then he's like fucking doing his fucking taxes and shit while I'm fucking trying to have the guy's trying to talk. He's like opening the door, shutting the fucking door in his truck and all this shit. Put it on you. Hang up the fucking phone. You know what I mean?
No, you gotta love Red.
Hey, bruh.
That was a good one, bruh.
This is Monster Closet, episode 21. This guy's a real one. You know, he had a lot of insight on Martin Streek, man.
Yeah, very knowledgeable.
Like somebody that's a fan of Martin Streek like me will learn something from this podcast. So I mean, he had a lot of info there, and I mean it's pretty cool, the research he's doing and the stuff he knows, and it gives me insight on the man, Martin Streek himself. Thanks for doing this, Ace, and I'll see you back at the crib, bruh.
Yep, let's get it.
Peace.
Easy.
Frail Fragments, Monster Closet.